I will be talking about the discovery and the elements of the film language. So, film language is used to communicate with its audience. It constitutes of everything, the techniques, actions, traditions that facilitate some sort of communication to its audience. Further, it has various terms that signify a specific type of action or a feature of a film. And it's not just the camera shots and editing techniques, it has much more, it needs much more to make a film successful. Edwin Stanton Porter is the pioneer of American film. He was the one who discovered the film language. He was born in Pennsylvania in 1870 and died in New York in 1941. So he studied in the public school of Connsville in Pennsylvania, and he worked many jobs before he got into the film industry. He was even a tailor, and he was even a part of the US Navy. In 1896, he started working with the Motion Picture Works, and he worked as a touring projectionist. That is, he went around with the projector scope invented by Cohn and Webster, and he went to various parts of US, Canada, and the West Indies. In 1899, that is 3 years later, he got a job in the Edison Manufacturing Company, and later was the in charge of Edison's film studios, and he created stories, worked with the camera, directing and assembled scenes together. So this is when all the discovery of the film language began. I think the most common film that we all must have seen is the Jack and the Beanstalk, which was produced in 1902. Besides, the two most important films are The Life of an American Soldier in 1903 and The Great Train Robbery in 1903. So it was during these two scenes that something different was seen, like the cross-cutting technique or the parallel action, pen and tilt, the medium close-up shot. Now these were the new concepts that started coming into the film industry. Parallel action was first seen in the movie Life of an American Fireman, that was in 1903. So it's basically when two scenes are merged together, something that is very common now in especially the rom-com movies, when we see someone running to the airport and the other at the airport. So how these two scenes are merged together is the cross-cutting technique. Pen and tilt was later seen in the next movie, The Great Train Robbery, where there was movement of the camera and not the movement of the characters in the fixed frame. In 1912, he accepted the position of a chief director at the Famous Players Film Company, and that's how the feature film came into being. In 1915, the first 3D film, Niagara Falls, was projected, and the image that is seen here is the final shot, the medium close-up shot that was mentioned earlier. This was from the film The Great Train Robbery, where we see that the character shoots directly at the camera. That's the medium close-up shot. Next, I'll be talking about the elements of the film language. That is camera, mise en scène, lighting, sound and music, editing and performance. So under camera, there's camera shots, camera angles, camera movement and focus. And there's multiple types of shots, angles, movements and types of focuses. There's a medium shot, wide shot, close up, and point of view shot. So a medium shot is where you can see the torso, face, and some background in your image. So you have an idea about what a wide shot is. A close up is something like your passport size photo where your head and shoulders are visible. And a point of view shot is what the character sees. Next are camera angles. So there's a high angle and a low angle. A high angle is where the camera is placed above the eye level of the character, and the camera lens is facing downwards. A pen and tracking shot. So a pen shot is when the camera moves up and down or side to side, while tracking shot is where the camera is moved backwards and forward and side to side on something similar to train tracks. Next is the focus. There's various types of focuses: in focus, out of focus, soft focus, deep focus, shallow focus. So out of focus is when the image is blurry. In focus is when the image is very clear and sharp. Deep focus is where the foreground, the middle ground, and the background are all in focus. The first one here is a medium shot, as it has both the face and till the torso of the person along with some background. The one below it is a point of view shot, as you can see what the person is seeing. This one here is a high angle shot. The one below it, a tracking shot. This is a shallow focus shot, while the one below it is a soft focus shot, as the character in it has soft edges. Next is mise en scène. It is basically the setting or how the scene is staged. It consists of composition, color palette, setting, props, and costume and makeup. So composition is basically how things are positioned in a frame. The color palette is the range of colors chosen for a scene. Then the setting, props, and costume and makeup. Next is lighting. It's categorized into two: hard lighting and soft lighting. So hard lighting is a direct light, like something on a sunny day or a character directly placed into spotlight, while soft lighting is indirect. It is something like candlelight dinner or a scene on a cloudy day. Next is sound music. So before we go into these, sound is classified into two: diegetic and non-diegetic sound. So diegetic sound is a natural sound where something of the characters saying their dialogues, or birds chirping in the background, cars honking. That's your diegetic sound. While the non-diegetic sound is something like the voiceovers or some other sound effects added, the drum roll, or a narration in a film, like the narration in the film The Notebook, where there's a third person point of view narrated in a film. That's non-diegetic sound. So talking about composed score, dialogues, narration, and sound effect. Composed score is the original music that is composed specially for a film. Then there's your dialogues, narration, and the sound effects that are added to the scene. Next is editing. It's how your shots are put together. So editing can be done in various ways. There are various techniques that one can follow, but I'll be talking about three: cut, rapid cutting, and slow cutting. So cut is when one shot ends and the other one immediately begins. Rapid cutting is something like a action scene, and slow cutting is something that's something that's very dramatic and something that makes the audience very suspicious. That's slow cutting. Lastly, performance. So it's the way in which the actors play with facial expressions, body language, and the voice modulation is all that comes under performance. So out of all that we have seen, we can evidently conclude that it's the shots that matters over scenes, because it's the merging of the shots, editing, etc., that adds to the beauty of the film and makes it a successful one. Having knowledge about film language is very important, not only for the filmmaker but also for the one who's watching it, because it helps you interpret the film better. Now, um, the elements that have been discussed here are the micro elements of film language. So there are also macro elements like the genre of the film, the audience, the narrative, and the representation. Representation is something like um, a male character playing a stronger role than a female character in an action movie. The reason why audience is the macro element of the film is because a movie is made for the audience. Everything depends on the audience. The language, the genre, the music, etc. Therefore, the audience are considered as a macro element of film language. Thank you.